Another week is here on the greatest of all time show. My name is Giovanni Clip, and tonight we're bringing you talent. Contestant number one, let's bring Baby Girl. Let's bring. You did it for you.
Cut. Oh, there is a leakage.
Where's the plumber? For quality and durability, insist on Syntex pipes. If you want quality, this be where you belong. Strong, tough, and reliable. Your perfect match to your trusted Syntex pipe. Syntex pipe, it they carry water, no wahala. Syntex pipe, it they make water they flow. Syntex, and you're strong, and you're tough.
Hi, now let me share my wildlife experience with you at Safari Valley Eco Park.
Welcome to Safari Valley Eco Park.
Our electric shuttle pulled up, and in no time our tour began. We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the Eco Park. We were greeted by experienced tour guides who took us through orientation and how to better enjoy the experience. Watch these animals roam freely in their natural habitat, undisturbed by our presence. We saw zebras, sable antelope, brown crane, mara, silky chicken, nyalas, Shetland ponies, and so many animals I just couldn't keep up. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife, their behavior, and how to interact with them. I even fed them. We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Then we took a break to have lunch in this serene environment. All this amazing experience for this price for adults? This price for teenagers. It's a bargain. As the sun began to set, it was time to go back home, but not before dinner by the campfire. It has been a thrill of a lifetime, and I can't wait till my next visit.
Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature.
Strong, grow healthy with Kidivite, distributed by NS Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Good afternoon. The passage of Ghana's controversial anti-LGBTQ bill has sparked intense political and legal debate. Just days after Parliament approved the legislation, key state actors appear divided over its status and next steps. Now, Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin says he is surprised that the bill has already been passed and is ready for presidential assent. President John Mahama, on the other hand, has raised concerns about alleged procedural breaches, particularly issues surrounding quorum during the bill's consideration. So what does the bill stand now? Can it be sent to President John Mahama for assent in its current form? And really, how did the controversy of a quorum even emerge, and at what point? And what are the legal implications of the concerns being raised by both the President and the Speaker and the minority as well? To help us unpack this, being joined on the telephone lines by Dr. Rashid Dramani with ASEPA. Welcome to the program. Grateful to have you on the show. Now, the Speaker says that he was surprised about how quick this bill was passed because, according to him, the instructions he left behind when he was away was that it should be considered, or it should have been at the consideration stage as of now. What do you make of those comments by the Speaker?
Well, I think what that suggests, the comment from the Speaker, it suggests some miscommunication or a breakdown of communication between him, the Right Honourable Speaker, and his deputy, as well as perhaps the office of the clerk and the table office in Parliament. Because if the Speaker says he was surprised, it simply means that the instructions he left were either not understood or were ignored. And I think I want to believe the first one, because of the fact that we are not in the 8th Parliament, where we saw the tension between the Right Honourable Speaker and his deputy. In this particular instance, we are dealing with a situation where at least there's a cordial relationship between the Speaker and the first Deputy Speaker, because they all belong to the same stock in terms of political orientation. So breakdown in communication, it needs to be fixed very quickly because of the fact that this is a very emotional issue. It divides our country, it divides Parliament, and it raises issues about human rights. So it has to be handled very carefully. And then because of the history, because of where we are coming from with this bill, in the 8th Parliament, when the presidency says cease and desist, instructions from the presidency to the clerk, many people might start reading meanings into this, that the current administration is beginning to drag its feet. And we don't want Parliament to be dragged into this, because we don't want a situation where people will start saying, oh, even Parliament is beginning to to have doubts about the passage of this bill.
Right. You are well versed in parliamentary procedures. Whether Alban Bagbin is around or not, there always has to be a speaker in the House of Legislature anytime the House is called. Now, he says that when he was leaving, he put out specific instructions for them to be followed. But really, the House functioned in his absence and they did not breach any law. So why does he have a cause to complain?
Well, I mean, really, that's perhaps that's a question that I have to address to Parliament itself. But like I said earlier, it seems there is a breakdown of communication. And whatever it is, like you rightly said, whether the Right Honourable Speaker himself is there or not, the business of Parliament has to continue to run. Sometimes there are some maybe internal kind of discussions that the public is not privy to. And as they say, Parliament is a master of its own rules, because those who raise a question of quorum, a few days ago, for instance, a member of Parliament said quorum was presumed because no member of Parliament got up to raise the issue. Because anytime that issue is raised, then the attention of the Speaker is drawn, and then maybe a head count is done or whatever they needed to do. But once no member raises a question about quorum, then they go ahead mastering their own rules and continuing deliberations based on. So I believe, the surprise that the Right Honourable Speaker has expressed might be part of the tools, related to how they deal with their own internal rules. Otherwise, on the face of it, like you rightly said, whether he is there or not, the business of Parliament has to go on.
Speaking about quorum, we also heard from President John Mahama in faraway United Kingdom also raising that specific issue that there was not a quorum when this was passed. But really, does the president also have a case? Because you've made us aware that the issue of quorum has to come up during the deliberation. It never happened. So why is the president basing that as a yardstick?
Well, I think maybe the only meaning that Ghanaians are going to ascribe to this might be the fact that we might be about to see a repetition of what we saw in the 9th Parliament. Maybe this president is also beginning to have doubts, and or maybe beginning to have a replay of what we saw at the Jubilee House under the leadership of the former president, i.e. that...
It's an interesting development there, but we're just getting some breaking news concerning this particular issue that the Speaker of Parliament, our parliamentary affairs correspondent, is reporting to us that the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has announced the passage of the anti-LGBT bill and has directed that the bill be reconsidered by Parliament. That's a huge news, Dr. Dramani, isn't it?
Huge, unprecedented. I've never seen this. I've never heard of this. So maybe this is a precedent-setting decision. Maybe we only wait to see what the details are and the reasons why the Right Honourable Speaker annulled this. In all my career following our parliament and other parliaments, I think this is a very rare decision.
We've always known Speaker Bagbin to be a conservative. He's always stood for the passage of this bill. He says that he's going to ensure that this bill is passed, and he's going to ensure that if this bill is passed by Parliament, the President assents to it. And now here he is expressing some reservations. What could have changed within the last few days? Why has his tone changed?
Well, I mean, I am not too sure whether, this change has anything to do with the Speaker maybe changing his position. At least we have all heard him in public saying that this bill will be passed. And I think we all know where he stands. Like you rightly said, he's Catholic, he has conservative views. I don't think his position on the passage of the bill has changed. Maybe what he's concerned about is perhaps to make sure that the right things are done, so that just like the special prosecutor bill that went through Parliament and so on, at which time many people raised some concerns. I believe the Right Honourable Speaker does not want a situation where somebody will go to court and challenge this. So I believe this annulment is just to make sure all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed, but has nothing to do with maybe a change in his position about this bill.
Right. But does the Speaker of Parliament have that power to annul it and say that it has to be going through reconsideration stage again? Does he have that power?
Well, that's why I'm saying it's precedent setting.
Okay.
We all have to go and read the law and see what the law says, because I've never seen this. So we are all going to be educated in terms of going through the laws of our country, the standing orders and so on, to see where this is situated.
Right. So, I mean, this is happening for the first time, as you've rightly made us aware. But in your own thinking, what do you think is going to happen? Are they going to have to pass through the same process, or it's going to be a bit shorter?
Yeah, I don't know where, again, because it's precedent setting, if Parliament lapsed, the bill had to go through all the kind of processes that it went through if Parliament, because this is a new Parliament. But, with this development, I don't know where it's all going to start, whether it's going to start all over, or maybe it's going to start from the stage where the Right Honourable Speaker left his instructions but whatever it is, Kenneth, whatever it is, Kenneth, whatever it is, this bill has not ceased to amaze Ghanaians, has not ceased to be one that creates a lot of emotions, creates a lot of divisions, and so on and so forth. I think we are yet to see many more of these surprises. I mean, if you ask me personally.
That's interesting. I'll take you back to the issue about quorum, though. On the day of its initial passage, there were just 34 MPs out of 276. really, does this send a signal that most of these people were deliberately absent because they didn't want to be a part of this?
Yeah, either that or, like I was saying, maybe the Right Honourable Speaker is taking this action because I know, knowing our country, somebody will go to court and all these records will be looked at. And if indeed there was no quorum and nobody even raised it, legally, if there was no quorum, then this is null and void. Somebody can go to court and the court will use all the records. Like you said, 34 members, it doesn't cut it.
Right. I'll take you back to the comments that were made by President John Mahama in London. He made a lot of comments and said that he's going to seek counsel from his legal advisor on the way forward. Looking at the president's position and where he was speaking, that's one of the countries that accepts the LGBTQ persons. Do you think he was just being diplomatic with his speech, or he was being sincere?
That I might not know,
right?
Kenneth, that I might not know. But all I can say is there is a lot of pressure for this bill not to be passed. We know that that's an open secret. So I don't know whether the president was pressured, whether he was being diplomatic and so on. However you look at it, I think it just continues to tell us that this is one big controversy and our country needs to handle this very carefully.
Are you confident that now that the Speaker says it should be reconsidered again, it will see the light of day and be passed?
Well, I think, I don't think the Speaker will go back on his word about the passage of this bill. I know him to be a man of his words. You all know, if you follow him in the media, in previous administrations, I think he has been one person who always speaks his mind, even if it goes against his party. That I have no doubt. What he's trying to do is to make sure that Parliament does an excellent job so that tomorrow nobody will say under his leadership, Parliament did not do a good job. A bill as big as this one and as controversial as this, would end up in the courts, and then the courts will question why Parliament did not do a good job. Number one, making sure that there is quorum. And what surprises me is the fact that with all the numbers from the NDC, I don't know why we only have 34 members in the House at the time the bill was being passed. So the Right Honourable Speaker, I believe, wants to make sure Parliament does its work and does it well. If it gets to the big house, the Jubilee House, and there are problems, that is not a problem for Parliament. It's a problem for the executive to answer.
Dr. Dramani, don't go yet. Our resident correspondent in Parliament, Kweku Asante, is joining the conversation right now. Kweku, a lot has been happening concerning this anti-LGBTQ bill in the last hour or so. Bring us up to speed.
Well, Ken, James Abeji is in the house for us, and of course we've been following to try and get as much information as possible as we can get on this. We know that the Speaker of Parliament has been delivering a statement on this. It is the Speaker's prerogative to speak to members of Parliament on important matters of this nature. And so he has, of course, made a statement. And what we know now is, like the Speaker of Parliament, we've been reporting it, saying that this bill would have to be reconsidered. I suspect that the Speaker of Parliament do know the challenge that this position that he has taken may not be grounded in law, and that is why he has not put it out in an explicit directive, and that is why he is asking members of Parliament to, quote and unquote, considering the bill again. And if members of Parliament agree to this, and if the majority leadership in particular agree to this, this will be relisted. There's a big procedural issue, and my reading of the standing orders does not open it up for anything. But as they always say, Parliament is a master of its own rules. It may decide to do this. The only time a bill can go for a second consideration is when the bill is about to be read for the third time. So when the bill concludes the second the consideration stage and it's about to be read for the second time, a member of parliament may get up on his feet and actually call for a second consideration of the bill. That is provided for in the standing orders. But when the bill is passed and the Speaker of Parliament or whoever is presiding bangs the gavel, as we saw the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Bernard Ahiafo, did last week, what some would say is that Parliament becomes functus official. And what Parliament, the only thing Parliament would have to do is to compile the bill as has been passed and pass it over to the presidency for the presidency to signify whether or not they will assent, and if they will not assent, the kind of procedure that has been listed. And yesterday, while the president spoke about this bill in the United Kingdom, he did speak about some of these issues and how it will be dealt with. And so I do recognize that the Speaker of Parliament finds himself in a procedural quagmire. He knows that under the current standing orders and any other rules relevant to Parliament and its procedures, they have not allowed, once a bill has been passed, to bring the bill back for consideration stage again. And that is why Speaker of Parliament, in his quotation, is talking about how he is appealing to members of Parliament to do so. We will get to see in the coming days, it's very early in the week yet, what exactly is going to happen to that. But if ultimately Parliament decides to agree to reconsider the bill, it opens Parliament up for legal duty. People may go to the Supreme Court to challenge the authority of Parliament doing so. But if Parliament decides to do so, there are two options. First, they can send the bill straight back into committee. That is the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee. They will now start the consideration of the bill again. They will still do open hearings or may decide to just move ahead and look at some of the contentious areas that people have raised, or the bill will come back to consideration right on the floor. It will be considered, but it's a big procedural quagmire. What rules would Parliament quote to actually do this? We'll get to know in the coming days.
Have you been hearing some reactions? We've also earlier heard reports from a minority leader, which he has now come out to say were false. Can you give us details of that?
Well, yes, very interesting things happening. Let me first talk about the reactions to the Speaker's position. First, when the Speaker of Parliament makes his remarks, and the Speaker of Parliament is entitled to understanding of this to make statements, unlike other statements that members of Parliament can comment on, the Speaker's statement is usually not open for comment. So usually you will not hear the minority or majority leaders comment on it unless the Speaker of Parliament wants to be magnanimous and he may allow them to do so. So far we haven't had any reaction from the minority and majority leaders to this plea by the Speaker. They may do so in the coming minutes or hours. We'll get to know, and James Aveji will bring us up to speed when anything happens. On the second question, just under an hour ago, the minority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, who, as we know, has been consistent in his opposition to this anti-LGBTQ bill while in government and while in opposition now, did put out a Facebook post that said that if you put people in jail for their sexual preferences, it is a backward thing to do. And he says no civilized parliament should cross that line. That is the post that Alexander Afenyo-Markin put on his Facebook page and also X about an hour ago. But just about 5 minutes ago, we've now heard from the minority leader again. He has gone to delete that post and he said that that post was compromised, as in the account was hacked or some people got access to his logins and made that post, as if to suggest that that post did not come from him. And so he has taken it down and he has asked the public to disregard it because, as he says and as he claims, his account was compromised and he has now recovered the account and he seemed to suggest that he did not see anything of the sort. And there's some people that took over his account and made that post and he did not see that, Ken.
Quick question to Don't Go Yet. He's our resident correspondent in Parliament. Another person in Parliament for us this afternoon is James Aveji, who is joining us from the floor. James, a lot has been happening, as we know, in the past hour or two. Bring us up to speed. What's happening on the floor of Parliament? Hello, James. Right, so James Aveji is a man on the ground. He's on the floor of Parliament, trying to give us updates about the anti-LGBTQ bill, which was passed last Friday. Do we have clear connection to James? Can you hear me?
Yes, Ken, I can hear you.
Right. We know that the Speaker has been making a statement in the last couple of minutes. What has he been saying, really?
Well, Ken, to effect, what the Speaker says means that the passage of the anti-LGBTQI+ bill that happens on Friday as with no effect. I must also say that it is an appeal he has made to the leadership of the House or to the members of Parliament, since he does not have the right to make that decision or make that pronouncement by himself. And so it is an appeal to the leadership of the House. We are yet to get a reaction from both leaders of the House. I must say that right after that, the business of the day commences. When the majority, the Speaker, Alban Bagbin, has now left Parliament, and his Deputy Speaker, First Deputy Speaker, Bernard Ahiapo, has taken over the proceedings of the House. But when business is expected to be done, and he made just one statement that, do not be sad for me, but be sad for the others. That's the only thing he said, which could be in relation to what the Speaker has said. They are now proceeding with the business of the delaying of some papers, and then other businesses will follow. The leaders who actually of the minority who, oversaw this, held a press conference to register their concerns about this, are yet to speak to the media about anything. Conference to speak to what the Speaker has said, to indicate to us whether they agree with the position of the Speaker. And from what we know, would mean that that process, as he has indicated, the consideration stage, where with the orders of the House that he has quoted, would mean that that consideration, after the amendment had been done, would have been sent back to the committee to effect all of those corrections into the bill and be brought back after one sitting day for the third reading and final approval to be done. He said that when that order, the MPs want to put that order aside, they should have invoked Order 3 of the House, which allows for other provisions of the orders of Parliament to be stepped aside for one reason or the other, for special reasons. But that Order 3 wasn't triggered when they went ahead with the rest of the processes and did the passing. So because of that, it is due to that he's saying that this should be stepped aside and the process revisited again. And so we're waiting to know what the reaction of leaders from both sides of the House would be with regards to this matter, Ken.
Interesting development coming out from the House of Legislature, James. And just yesterday, President John Mahama also raised certain issues in London. He talked about the lack of quorum when this bill was passed. Did that factor into the reasons the Speaker gave for a reconsideration of the bill?
Well, Ken, the Speaker did not mention anything at all with regards to a quorum on the floor of the House when this bill was passed, which would suggest that effectively there is nothing wrong with the passage as far as quorum is concerned, or there is quorum on the floor of the House when this was passed. In fact, when the Majority Chief Whip Roxy Nelson Dapameko was on PM Express yesterday, he talked about the fact that the records of the House from Friday indicated that there was about 190 plus members of Parliament on the floor in Parliament on the day of the passage of the bill. Now, with regards to this, if at any time when a critical decision like the passage of the bill needed to be taken, and any member feels that there is not enough quorum, they would have to raise it on the floor to the Speaker that, looking at the numbers in the chambers, they do not think that there is enough quorum in order to pass the bill. And so the Speaker would have to do a head count. If indeed there is no quorum, the bell will be rung and they will be given about between 10 minutes to for the chief whips to marshal the members onto the floor of the House for that bill to be taken. And so that particular action was not taken on the floor on Friday. And the official records of the vote and proceedings of the House indicated that there was enough quorum in Parliament. But as to whether that quorum reflected on the floor, because that was not triggered, it would be assumed that there was enough quorum. And so that particular concern did not feature at all in the concerns of the Speaker or in his statement or ruling this afternoon when he spoke on the issue officially, Ken.
James, don't go yet. I want to refresh the memories of our viewers and bring you the clip of President John Mahama when he was asked the question as to whether he will assent to the newly passed anti-LGBTQ bill in London.
Parliament has been considering it, and it was supposed to have been passed last week. There have been a few issues raised. One, that there wasn't quorum when it was passed. That's an issue that has come up. And then two, there were some procedural lapses in terms of its passage. I just got some communication that the Speaker was reading a statement to address the issue of the lapses in the passage of the bill. And so, like I said, when I was the opposition leader, the President has a number of options in this matter. It must come for assent. And so once the President gets it, you go through it because you're not part of the discussion in Parliament. And so the legal representative, the legal counsel in the presidency and the Attorney General would sit on it because it was a private member's motion. Right. This was not a government bill. And so we'll look at it and make sure that everything is in order before the President is advised to assent. The President has another option if there are some things that he thinks are a problem. He can refer to the Council of State. Substantial issues that are raised, the President would return the bill to Parliament indicating exactly what the issues are. And so there's still quite a while to go before that bill becomes law.
Thank you for setting that out so clearly. Let me ask you.
President John Mahama gave in London just yesterday. I still have our Parliamentary Affairs correspondents James Aveji and Kweku Asante on the line with me, and so do I have Dr. Dramani with me. James, we know that, of course, the anti-LGBTQ matters are dominating the floor today, but what else is on the table today?
Ken, if I can just make a point before James can get to you.
Yes, Kweku.
Yeah, and I was talking about the quorum question. I was on the floor when the bill was passed last Friday. In fact, I was in the chamber throughout the debate as it was happening on the consideration before the bill was actually passed. And my own count of members of Parliament on the floor was not even up to 30, 40. But that is not usually what you use to determine what a quorum is in Parliament. And as I've been explaining since Friday, for those who have raised the issue, quorum is not just a matter of perception, because as we know in Parliament, members of Parliament walk in, sign, and go out to the coffee shop. They may go to their offices, but they have signed. And usually, what Parliament will use as an official record to determine whether there was quorum will be the official record. And as we know now, the official record published yesterday when Parliament sat was to the effect that about 190 MPs were in Parliament on Friday, which ultimately culminated in the passage of the bill. The votes and proceedings does not segregate. It does not say at every point in time when a business was done, this number of people were on the floor. And so what you rely on is the omnibus number of people who may have signed. And that is why it's always difficult for people who go to Parliament to prove that Parliament may not have had a quorum, unless in clear-cut instances, for instance, in the e-levy debate, where the issues were clear-cut for the Supreme Court to be able to pronounce whether or not there was a quorum. And so that is it. That would be the difficulty, because anyone who will go to court, the burden of proof is on that person to prove that Parliament did not have a quorum. All Parliament will do will be to dangle the votes and proceedings before the leadership of any court, for that matter, and say, well, these are the members of Parliament who were here. It's up to this person to prove that we did not have that. It's also difficult to use video because, as you see, a lot of the videos just show the Speaker of Parliament or the person presiding and a member usually speaking. There are very or hardly aerial shot that has to do with that. And so that is it for that. And let me just give you this very brief point about the consideration stage. Specifically, if you go to the standing orders of the House, the new standing orders, if you look at section 171 or order 171, I should say, it talks about second consideration of bills. It says, where an MP intends to delete, amend, or introduce a provision in a bill that has passed through consideration stage, the member may, immediately before a sponsor rises to move the motion for the third reading of the bill, move that bill passes through a second consideration. And then it goes around to talk about how bills have been passed and all of that. So there is a big procedural conundrum for Parliament to deal with. And if anything is to go by some of the commentary that I'm hearing from the majority leader, he may not be so much amenable to that because it opens up Parliament to all sort of legal suit as to the propriety of the rules they will be invoking to do this. But Parliament, as it always say, they like to say that they are masters of their own rules, so we'll get to see if they take this advice of the Speaker, one, and if they take it, how do they intend to ensure that they go through this without raising some constitutional quagmires that will ultimately affect the entirety of the work they've done in this very, very controversial bill.
And Kweku, how many members of Parliament need to be in the chamber for there to be no quorum?
So there'll be at least 1/3 of all MPs present. And so yesterday, James Savage brought us a report from Parliament that Parliament did not have a quorum to sit because when they started proceedings, there were less than 1/3 of all MPs. And 1/3 of 276 runs a little to 93, 94. They didn't have that. And then there is what is called the decision quorum. The decision quorum for ordinary business is at least half of all there in the chamber. I did not see 138 at the time the Speaker of Parliament put the question as to how many MPs supported the third reading of the bill. But then there's also a higher threshold of quorum. You needed at least 93 to start proceedings, and if you wanted to take any decision, ordinary decision, you needed at least 136 to be on the floor at the time of doing so, James. Ken.
Kweku, don't go yet. Let's still stay on the floor of Parliament and speak to James Savage. James, I was asking what else is on the agenda in the House of Legislature today?
Well, Ken, the House is expected to take a number of reports, and after that, they'll zoom into the debate about the Finance Minister's statement last week on the state of the economy. You recall that he told us that they've been able to move a stable stage, and so they have deferred the debate on that to this week, and so that will be happening today before any other thing that is on the other paper or takes center stage on the floor. But the big thing is the debate of the Finance Minister's statements from last week.
James Savage is on the floor of the House. Thank you very much, James. Kweku, I want to wrap up with you so that I go to Dr. Dramana. Has this ever happened in Parliament before, that a bill has been passed in the absence of the substantive Speaker of Parliament? It's come back and it says that it should be reconsidered again. Has it happened before?
Not in recent memory that I can recall that Parliament would have passed the bill. And in fact, a lot of the time, Alban and Bagbin is not in the chair, particularly for the 9th Parliament.
Right.
He has been very busy. He is meeting international partners. A lot of people calling him on his office. So most times it is the first Deputy Speaker who is presiding. And normally they will go ahead and transact business and they will approve a bill and then it will move forward. And so, but for context, this particular bill has a lot of interest. The Speaker of Parliament, as we know, for good or bad reason, has a lot of interest in this bill. In the 8th Parliament, he was clear they were going to pass this. In fact, he did something unprecedented on the floor by calling on individual members of Parliament who did not agree to the passage of this bill to get up and be counted. At the time, no one stood up. In this Parliament, since all the controversy started with the bill, he has done two things. He first disagreed with Majority Leader Mahama and Bagbin's contention that the bill had already been passed and should be sent to the Speaker for assent. He ruled that that bill expired with the 8th Parliament, and so Parliament had to reconsider same. And then the bill was relayed, it went through the committee, it came back to the floor. And I remember when Parliament started proceedings for this particular meeting, he issued a stern directive to the Committee on Legal and Constitutional Affairs to ensure that this bill is passed before the end of this meeting. However, we know that this week, Parliament is hosting a certain conference on human values and sexual values in Ghana. So there was a certain sense in the House that Parliament wanted to pass this bill to signal to the rest of the continent or African legislators who will be coming in that Parliament was not just paying lip service and asking others to do that, while in Ghana, Parliament wasn't paying attention to that. And so that may have motivated Parliament to have passed it last Friday. However, it is clear that the Speaker of Parliament wanted to be in the chair when this bill was passed. And that is why he said that yesterday when he addressed the press conference on this conference, that the instructions he had left in Parliament was that just the consideration stage be done. I must be clear, there's nothing in the standing orders that says that the Speaker of Parliament can leave instructions on how a bill should proceed.
Right.
Once the bill is laid, there are procedural issues. MPs can always move on with it, and there are hundreds of bills that are always passed in the absence of the speakers. But the Speaker of Parliament clearly, given that he wanted to be there, really wanted to ensure that certain things are done, and he has made this point. But the horses have bolted. And that is why you can see that the Speaker of Parliament is in a particular difficulty, and that is why he's now making an appeal for members of Parliament to do this. But it's really unprecedented, the way you've said it, for Speaker of Parliament to come back to the floor and urge a reconsideration of a bill that has already been passed. The horses have bolted, but Parliament is always a master of its own rules. We'll see what they do.
Interesting one. Akufo-Addo is our resident correspondent in Parliament. Dr. Rashid Dramani is still with me. So, Dr. Dramani, we're getting more clarity as to the discussions that happened on the floor of Parliament earlier. We understand that the Speaker is urging for a reconsideration of this particular bill. Do you think it will suffice?
Yes, I think I believe it will. And you see, I hear Akufo-Addo and your other correspondent about quorum and the kind of threshold for proving that there is quorum or there is no quorum and so on. You read the president's comments in London, procedural issues and so on. I know, our country and the recent history, somebody will go to court, and I believe that even if the visuals are not enough, to prove that we are going to rely on what is on record, the courts might pronounce otherwise, particularly knowing the controversial nature of this bill. So all to say, I believe that is what is pushing the Speaker to do what he is doing. Even if it's precedent setting, even if it's not clear in the standing orders where he's deriving those powers from and so on. Like I said earlier, I believe he wants to make sure that once the bill passed and then is sent to the presidency, Parliament would have done its job, made sure that all the I's are dotted and all the T's are crossed, nobody can go to court. Even if a challenge is made and the challenge fails, that all delays this whole process. You remember what happened in the previous Parliament? Richard Delesky and another citizen of our country went to court, and the presidency cited those as some of the reasons why the bill cannot be signed. I believe the Right Honourable Speaker is trying to make sure under his watch this time around there are no lapses and so on. But it's still early days yet. And like I said again earlier, this bill, I think we haven't finished seeing the surprises.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, after this bill was signed on Friday, it grabbed international headlines. Now we are hearing about all these, some would say confusion after its signage. What signal do you think this sends to the international community?
I think if you ask me, I believe that the international community is winning, at least up to this point, because we know the position of the international community on this. We know the position of diplomats in our country on this. It's sending a signal that perhaps our country is not ready yet to have this passed, and signed and sealed by the presidency.
That's quite interesting. Dr. Rashid Dramani, thank you very much. He's the Executive Director of ASEPA. And earlier we heard from our two parliamentary correspondents, James Aveji and Kweku Asante. To a rather disturbing story this afternoon, at least 15 people have been confirmed dead and 25 others injured following a devastating head-on collision between a container truck and a passenger truck at Peki Chame in the Volta region. The fatal accident occurred in the early hours of today near the premises of Peki Senior High School, prompting an emergency response from personnel of the Ghana National Fire Service. According to the fire service, the crash involved a Mercedes-Benz container truck with registration number WR1553-C, which was traveling from Nkwanta towards Accra, and another Mercedes-Benz passenger bus with registration number GR3215-E, which was traveling from Bato to Kabiti in the Oti region. A total of 40 people were involved in the accident, which included 21 men, 15 women, and 4 children. The firefighters from the Peki fire station were dispatched to the scene and carried out a rescue operation to extricate trapped victims from the wreckage. The fire service said 25 injured persons, including 23 adults and 2 children, were rescued and transported to the Peki Government Hospital for emergency medical treatment. However, 15 people lost their lives in the crash. The deceased comprised 9 men and 6 women. The bodies of the victims were subsequently handed over to the police and conveyed to the mortuary at the Peki Government Hospital for preservation and identification. Assistant Divisional Officer of the Fire Service, Alex Kenate, is joining me on the telephone lines right now. We do not have him right now. We get him subsequently. But now, let's speak to a hospital administrator at the Peki Government Hospital, Jacob Yawo Agbanu Tovinya. Mr. Tovinya, welcome to the program. We understand that a number of people have been transported to your health facility seeking medical treatment. The ones that survived, how are they doing?
So just like you mentioned, early hours of today, the MTTU and the fire service actually transported the victims who sustained injury to the hospital. And so quickly we activated our medical emergency process, and they are currently stable. They are currently receiving treatment. And so far, there was no casualty apart from those that already couldn't sustain or couldn't survive at the scene.
And what is their state of health? Is it severe, their injuries? Is it life-threatening?
So currently, we have about 23 of these victims receiving treatment at the hospital, out of which 16 are male and 7 female. My information from the team on the ground is that they are processing 2 currently for referrals because of the extent of damage or injury they sustained. But apart from that, the rest are currently stable and they are responding to treatment.
And have any of their relatives come by to see them?
Yeah, a number of the relatives are here. Just that the current 23 that we have receiving treatment, there are 2 of them that we currently don't have any relative to identify themselves with, that they are coming because of them. But apart from that, the rest, the relative troop in.
How often are people sent to your hospital for accidents like this on that particular road?
We can look at it. It's quite frequent. At least in a month, averagely, we record 2 or 3 episodes of this kind. But this seems to be the one with the highest fatality in the last one year. But you record a couple of them die, you see 2 people dying, 3 people have sustained injuries. It's a frequent thing on the stretch, that I have to admit.
That's quite interesting. And these victims, do we know where they were traveling to? And really, what is the nature of the road there? Because you've mentioned that you have people frequenting your health facility to seek for medical attention when they suffer road casualties there.
Yes, for where they are traveling to, I don't currently have that information, but I do know that they set off from Bato in the North Tongue district, and they are heading towards the north somewhere, but I don't know the town specifically. And so these, we have engaged stakeholders, and there were more kind of isolated potholes too on the stretch that could easily trigger an accident along the stretch. And it's something that the stakeholders are taking up to address.
If you talk about the nature of the road, what is it like? Is it a very busy stretch? Do you know?
Yeah, it's quite busy. It's quite busy. It's the Eastern Corridor stretch to through Bando to Dambai, all the way to the north.
Interesting. Now you have an unprecedented number of persons who have gotten injured through a road crash. Do you think your facility is well equipped enough to absorb all of them?
For now, we are managing the cases. Those that we cannot handle here, as like I said earlier, our team is currently processing them for referral.
How many people?
Two.
Okay. Right. So looking at the number of people who are being processed for referral, do you foresee more people being processed for referral as the time goes on?
So as we speak, 6 of the cases are currently still in the emergency room. The rest have been transferred to the various wards, but 6 are currently still being treated at the emergency room. What it means is that they are critically being monitored to see how they progress. But the confidence I gathered from the medical team, let's pray that they will all make it through, but everything is stable.
Right, so all these cases are now being treated as an emergency case, you say?
I mean, 6 of these cases.
6, okay.
Out of the 23 that are currently receiving treatment, 6 of them are being monitored at the emergency room. But the others are quite stable. They move them to the wards.
Right. You tell me that you've seen the relatives of these victims trooped to the hospital, but have you cited perhaps any government official, the regional minister, the MDC, MCE, DC of the area? Have you cited anybody like that?
In the early hours of the morning, the DC for the area that's served by actually visited the hospital. He visited the victims and then share a word or two with the victims in the wards. Yes, so he came. He is the only one that I've seen, apart from the NTTU and then the fire service people that keep coming because of possibly they are doing some investigation, but they keep coming. But the only government official I've seen is the DC for the area.
Right, and that's quite sad. As we speak,
well, when you talk to the other stakeholders, and they will best explain to you the nature as to what you wanted. But for me, I see it as a busy stretch because every other time you see a vehicle or two passing in a tall speed, and it is something that. So if you want to cross the road, you have to look critically to the people as concerned.
We understand that there were children among the victims, both the ones that sadly lost.
Yes, for those that are currently receiving treatment, there are 2 of them that are children. One is still breastfeeding. The other is around the age of 8 or 9. They are receiving treatment. It's also 2 children are part of those that couldn't survive.
I want to thank you very much for your time this afternoon. That is unfortunate accident claimed the lives of 15 people and others also battling for their lives there. In other stories today, the Ghana Standards Authority has called for more investment into the testing of Ghanaian products to meet the standards of both the European Union and other regional markets. Well, Ghana has in the past suffered bans from the EU restricting the Committee on Trade, Industry and Tourism during the working visit to the Ghana Standards Authority. Board chairman of the authority, Hudu Mukhtari, says the authority currently needs some capital injection to meet the demands.
We'll be able to get support from you to do the things that we have to do for the nation. We are looking at an economy that is seeking to grow. And we are looking at our participation deepening with AFTA. That's Africa Continental Free Trade Area. And we know that the only way that will work properly is to engage of the other countries as well. We are also seeking to improve our exports to the EU. And with EU, we know the issues of sanitary and phytosanitary matters. We know the technical barriers to trade. And we must make sure that our standards meet those stringent standards that are set out there. And this means that we must invest a lot in the activities of the GSA. So here we have, laboratories, equipment, our people, and we will look forward to this committee to support us in terms of, legislation, in terms of making sure we get the right resources to make sure that GSA is able to deliver for the safety of the people in Ghana, as well as those who will be exporting goods to.
We've also been hearing from the ranking member on the committee, Michael Ochre-Befi, who noted that the Ghana Standards Authority must improve upon its revenue generation capacity to improve the authority's internally generated funds.
Ghana Standards Authority has gotten to a stage that is very recognized outside the jurisdiction. And because of your efforts and your hard work, we want to commend you for that. We pray that we'll be able to generate more funds. That is one of the key things that we want to see you, achieve. We want to see that you have achieved a lot in terms of generating more revenue, to be able to keep your business going. The work you do is something very, very huge and big, and demands you get a lot of resources to be able to push your agenda to achieve your ultimate objective. Therefore, there are a lot of places or clauses in the law that need to be activated. I believe that you see now, even agencies like environmental protection agencies that are activating laws within their bigger framework, trying to generate more money. The Ghana Standards Authority can do more. You have very experienced people on your desk who understand the system and understand the things about standards, conformity assessment, and methodology. At least you should be able to help the agency to, I'm talking to people like you should be able to help them push this agenda, because you are very experienced and understand the system so well. So you're able to help them to be able to generate more funds. And thankfully, you have a very knowledgeable and very experienced board chairman and CEO and the director general. These are men who have contributed a lot to the development of this country, and they have also written their names in gold in the annals of history. So they will also be there to push.
That community in the Tatale Sanguli district watched their children learn under difficult conditions and wondered when help would come. A year after Joy News, in partnership with School for Life, highlighted their plight, change is finally taking shape. The government is constructing a new classroom block, while the community is building its own teachers' quarters to help retain educators in the village. Emmanuel Jivenu has more in our first episode of Crambling.
It's barely 1 year since our last visit to Sabonjida DA Basic School. The PTA chairman's embrace tells the story better than words ever could.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
People, we thank you very much. We thank you. We very appreciate your words.
A year ago, the people of Sabonjida were pleading for help. Their children squeezed into overcrowded classrooms. Kindergarten people learned in exposed spaces. Teachers struggled to stay. Parents worried that the future of their children were being built on neglect.
This is my head. This is my mouth.
Today, the community is finally beginning to see results.
Yeah, we like the progress, that has happened.
We like you because of you that we are seeing this thing. We are very, very rarely very happy about your coming to this, our Sabonjida community. Since some people came here and it wasn't like you came, you did a lot. You deliver our problem to the government, and we have seen some progress going on.
Behind him stands the most visible sign of that progress. A 6-unit classroom block with offices, a library, store and sanitation facilities. The structure is still under construction, but for a community that spent years waiting for decent classrooms, even unfinished walls represent something powerful, a proof that their voices were heard.
The school is going on. They have come here and access, and they have continued our 6-unit classroom. We are very, 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 very happy. Our community is saying that you get our problem and you didn't sit on it. You send it up, and now it is working on your behalf.
250. That's good. Canvas for him.
The intervention followed years of difficult learning conditions. 2 classes have to share a single classroom. One teacher often had to split attention between 2 different syllabi at the same time. For learners and teachers alike, concentration was always a challenge.
Looking at the number of learners and how we combine them is not helping teaching and learning. P3 and P4 are boxed together, which they are supposed to be separated. So sometimes you take something to teach. Whilst you are teaching P4 syllabus, the P3 learners are disadvantaged. And when you switch to the P3, the P4 ones are also disadvantaged there. So it's not really helping. If these classes are completed in good time, and we move there, I think it will solve this situation. Oh yeah, we'll be very, very glad. We'll be very, very glad to move in there.
Is she correct? Yes. Give it to her. Yeah.
The impact of the changes is already becoming visible. School authorities say enrollment has risen sharply. From about 125 pupils recorded in November 2024, the school now has more than 250 children enrolled. Many of the new admissions are in the lower primary classes. When the school ran out of space for its youngest learners, the Jesus is the Door Church opened its auditorium for classes during weekdays. The arrangement shields the children from the scorching sun and also keeps lessons going whenever it rains.
Here that the children are sitting, and now we have gotten some church, which is Jesus Door Church. They accepted us to send the KG1, KG2, KG3 to that their block.
But the most remarkable response came from the community itself. Faced with no accommodation for teachers in the community, residents pooled their resources and started building a 4-bedroom teachers' quarters. For a community struggling to attract and retain teachers, a decent accommodation became a priority.
Community have seen what you have come to say to us, and we all contribute, and we have some money, a little, and we are putting teachers' bungalow. which is 4 bedrooms, and we wanted to put bathroom to the decent kitchen, also 1. We are on it that we will do that. And because what you have done, we will not sit down. We also say that when there is a lot of teachers, and when they come to our...
They had to move some children out of a room and offered me in that room. At the inconvenience of the family, about 3-4 children were in a room, and they had to move them out because of me. But thankfully, the community has started a project for the teachers, so which we hope that when completed, it will help us.
This program, supported by the Education Out Loud, is looking at enhancing citizens' ability to be able to engage duty bearers to open up spaces in terms of quality education delivery.
School for Life, the organization supporting citizen engagement through citizen-led action for educational accountability and responsiveness, Sabonjida demonstrates what can happen when communities move beyond complaints and become active participants in finding solutions.
The project, significant progress has been made in terms of enhancing duty bearer responsiveness to the issues that the citizen groups have identified within the communities, the lack of infrastructure, the lack of teachers, the lack of teacher accommodation. These are and bringing them to the attention of duty bearers at the local level for them to respond to. And across the project districts, you are witnessing progress in terms of responding to the infrastructure needs, in terms of teacher availability. We are seeing that there's progress. Our work, our collaborative work with these institutions would ensure that even after the project, the actions are still ongoing and that they are responding to the needs of these marginalized groups, based on the pressure that also the citizen groups will put on the local authorities.
We are very privileged for the School for Life, and this our community, what the School for Life is doing to us. Some of the children here, they have been, even they are now high SS, and some are even been to...
And Sabonjida is still a work in progress. The classrooms are not yet complete. The community is still pushing for more teachers and school feeding. But where there was once frustration, there is now momentum. Parents, teachers, community leaders, and duty bearers are all playing a role in shaping a better learning environment for the children.
The narrative of pupils of Sabonjida DA Basic School having to learn in a poor infrastructure is gradually becoming a thing of the past, with the construction of the 6-unit classroom block for the community. The pupils and teachers are excited that this project will finish soon and give them hope to chase their dreams. Emmanuel Jivenu, Joy News, Sabonjida, Tatale Sangole District, Northern Region.
Let's have a conversation with our partners for the Crumbling Start series. Wedad Saibu is the director for School for Life, and he joins me right now on Zoom. Welcome to the program. We've just seen a classroom block and the construction and a community-led teachers accommodation project in that area. How did the community that had struggled with these challenges for years get to this point?
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me on your show. In fact, the journey didn't just start today. It's been several years of engagement and facilitating dialogues between the communities and their local education authorities. And these constant engagement by the communities with their local assemblies reminding them of their duty to provide basic and decent infrastructure to support teaching and learning for the community's children, reminding them of the deplorable situation in which children in this community have to learn, have actually contributed in the result that we are witnessing today. I must also add that this project is also partly as a result of the media advocacy, the sustained media advocacy that together, School for Life together with Joy News had embarked upon about 2-3 years ago, bringing spotlight to communities such as Sabonjida and so many others across the length and breadth of northern Ghana who are facing similar challenges. And as a result of that, local education actors and other education stakeholders are gradually responding to the needs of the communities, especially the children, in terms of providing basic education to their children. So I would say that the result we are seeing today did not just start today. The journey has been long, it has been challenging, but the community has been steadfast in their engagement and demands on the local authorities, on government authorities to provide at least basic infrastructure to support the learning conditions of the children in the community.
I think one of the most heartwarming aspects of this story is that the residents did not wait for government alone. They started building teachers' quarters themselves. So why is that kind of community ownership so important?
It's very important because when communities begin to not only rely on the government for the provision of developmental initiatives, for the provision of solutions to the developmental challenges that they are faced, but also takes matters into their hands to contribute to dealing with these challenges. It will go a long way to bring to even open doors of opportunities of new developmental initiatives. It also brings about lasting change in this community because it shows that communities will own the processes of their development. They will invest both materially and also their energies into looking for solutions for the problem that they are faced. And when they begin to do this, it will actually enhance their commitment.
Hello, with that, did I still have you?
Will also
hello, with that. Right, so with that, Saibu is the director of School of Life. We're engaging her on the results that we got from our series, Crumbling Start. She's back, I understand. With that, do I have you?
Yes, I am with you.
Right, I lost you momentarily. You were making a point.
Okay, so I was talking about the importance of community taking lead and taking action in dealing with the developmental challenges they are faced with. And where we are talking about the provision of basic education. And I was just making the point that when communities begin to not only rely on the government for the provision of some of these solutions to their developmental challenges, it goes a long way to also open new doors of opportunities for other developmental initiatives
Right.
It also brings about lasting changes because the communities will invest, and because they live with the realities, their investment, the energies and the commitment that they will put into this process will go a long way to sustain whatever initiative that they themselves have started, and those that external bodies will also provide. It is also important to note that initiatives like this also strengthen school community collaboration, which is very essential for the provision of quality education for the children. And it also highlights the importance the community places on the provision of basic education for their children. Right. And the recognition of its role in contributing to the realization of this basic fundamental human right. We all know education is one of the basic fundamental human rights of the child. And to say that we are providing free universal basic education is to not just whitewash, but to provide the needed facilities, infrastructure, and support to support every learner, irrespective of their location, to access these. But for far too long, a lot of these communities we are working in have been neglected and underserved. And that is why communities, the need for communities who are largely underserved to begin to take action so that their action will serve as a springboard or will serve as an invitation for the government to come and support them realize the fundamental human rights of their children. So for us, community's role in this process is critical for the many reasons that I have espoused.
Let's talk about the CLEAR project. How did that project help bridge the gap between the community and duty bearers, such as the District Assembly and Education Directorate?
So the CLEAR project, as the name goes, is citizen-led action for educational accountability and responsiveness in Ghana. Essentially, what the project seeks to do is to strengthen the capacities of communities to realize, or in this case, citizens, to understand the fundamental human rights of education. And also giving them the right information to understand government-owned commitment to the realization of this fundamental human right, and the community's role in demanding their accountability and responsibility from the relevant duty bearers. So the project started way back in 2021 when we felt that together with our partners and donors, the Global Partnership for Education under the Education Outlook Program, noted that communities have an important role to play in demanding and exacting accountability from duty bearers to ensure that they respond to their mandate of providing basic education for the children across the length and breadth of the country. It is not only for selected few children in the community, but every child born in Ghana deserves this right. So that fundamental recognition that the community, like education, is a right, and the only way to support government to realize or provide these basic fundamental human rights is to equip the communities with the right information and knowledge to understand their right and their responsibility to demand this accountability. So we first started by building their capacity, strengthening their capacity, and creating their awareness of the basic fundamental human rights to education, the basic provisions that there are in our constitution, as well as the education sector plans and the numerous programs that the government has, so that once they become aware of this, then it becomes a powerful tool for them to use to then now engage with their relevant duty bearers. So beyond this, beyond the capacity building, beyond the trainings and also the provision of relevant information to them, we also try to facilitate dialogue and interface meetings between these community representatives and their government education actors at their vicinities. So creating and facilitating dialogue platforms and platforms of engagement between these local community members and their local government representatives has been one of the strategies or some of the strategies that we have used to ensure or facilitate that kind of closeness between the communities and the local authorities. We've not also stopped there. We've also been engaging with the local authorities on this kind of dialogue and discourses around they enabling the spaces within our local government system to ensure that the communities themselves are at the table and at the right spaces in asking the questions and also highlighting the challenges that they are faced with in their various communities. So I would say that it has been a journey of constant engagement, of capacity building, of facilitating dialogue session between local communities and their government representatives.
Amazing. And beyond the classroom block, what changes have you seen in the community participation and accountability in Sabon-Jida?
In Sabon-Jida alone, as you have rightly noted, beyond the 6-unit classroom block that the Assembly has started with, the communities themselves has taken it upon themselves to initiate a teachers' accommodation facility to attract teachers to the communities. Beyond that, they have been engaging with the very few teachers who are posted to theirs to give them the needed support and a kind of good living atmosphere within this community, creating cordiality between them and the teachers to ensure that they are motivated to stay in their communities to teach. Right. Beyond that, they have also been engaging with the education authorities and the local assembly to provide not just the 6-unit classroom, but after the classrooms are constructed, they need sitting places, decent sitting places. So furniture is also one of the things that they have been engaged with in advocating for the government to provide. So in Sabon-Jida alone, there has been that kind of local government community collaboration and community dialogue. But beyond Sabon-Jida are so many other examples of community engagement that are yielding very, very fruitful results for these communities.
Right. We know that the school still needs more teachers and access to school feeding. How does CLARE ensure communities continue pushing for solutions after this initial success?
So as part of these dialogue sessions that we have been facilitating is within the assembly system, there are spaces of engagement. And through like the assembly's own review sessions, yearly review session, budgetary development processes, these community members are made aware of the various stages at which they need to be engaging the local assemblies. So, and we have also encouraged or also exposed them to the various subcommittees within the assembly system that are providing different forms of services and also different agencies and departments within the assembly and the GES system that are providing various services.
Okay.
So in terms of the school freedom program, the communities have so far been engaging with the relevant social service, the relevant subcommittees within the assemblies to remind them of the need to provide school freedom program in the community. But I would say that it's an ongoing process of engagement, and they know the kind of departments and agencies and the relevant committees to engage with to get some of these services to their communities.
Okay.
And they have as part of their action plan to continue to do this.
Right. The classroom block will eventually be completed and the project will come to an end. But what gives you confidence that the progress we're seeing in Sabongida can be sustained?
In fact, like I said, the journey did not start today.
Okay.
And we know that through these efforts of engagement and over the years, we have actually...
I can see that your baby is trying to distract you there. Are we good to continue? Hello, with that?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Are we good to continue?
Yes, we can continue.
Okay.
I was distracted a bit.
Right.
So I was just saying that what gives us confidence in School for Life, that what has started will see a lasting, will be a lasting one, is that the communities, this journey hasn't started today.
Right.
We have seen the commitment, the level of commitment that the communities have exhibited. When we started, this level of commitments and the energy and the enthusiasm that they are putting into this process was not like this. So over the years, it's like the energy has been building up and the commitment and has been fueling. And we know that with the tangible results that are now coming out from their efforts will only inspire and motivate them to continue to ensure that this project is not only completed in the best of design forms that we are looking up to, but also they will continue to sustain and maintain this. If they have taken upon themselves to initiate a big project like providing teachers' accommodation, it gives us the confidence that when the assembly finally finishes this, or even in the processes, so in this whole process from now up to when it is completed, they will continue to put pressure on the assembly to continue to finish the project. That is one step. And beyond that, once the assembly finally complete this and hand it over to them, we are very confident that they will be committed to ensuring that it is regularly maintained, so that the children, whatever their years of suffering would have been over, they will not want to abandon it so that it gets to to a situation where like they are going back to their previous years of suffering. So we believe that the kind of community members we have, the level of energy and the zeal and commitment that they have put into this process from the very beginning when we started with them to this point gives us that confidence that they will continue. And it will not just be only this project. We are confident it will not just be only this project. They would continue to engage with the relevant actors and also even amongst themselves to mobilize the needed community assets and resources to advance the course of education for their children.
Right. I can see that the baby wants mom's attention, so I wouldn't take much of your time. This will be my final question to you. Looking beyond Sabonjida, what lessons from this community can other rural communities learn about improving education outcomes?
So I would say first and foremost that, yes, we all know that it is the government responsibility to provide basic education. And by that we mean providing the necessary infrastructure, resources, and facilities to ensure that this is realized. But the government priorities are also a lot than the resources that we have. So we will say lessons from this is that the communities should not just only wait for the government to provide everything, but they can begin to take action, leveraging on the little resources they themselves have, the assets that they have to start something. But beyond also just taking upon themselves to take certain action, they need also constantly remind the government, engage their local authorities, engage in advocacy, know what first of all, define what they need, what their priorities are, what their challenges are, and then maybe develop an action plan to see how they can engage with relevant duty bearers to provide these solutions to them. So first, yes, engagement, demanding, knowing their priorities, understanding that education is a right and that it is everybody's business. It is the communities as much as it is the government responsibility to provide that.
Right.
And once this recognition is established, then it is also about then taking the necessary steps to mobilizing the little that are within their reach to start some, whilst also engaging with the relevant duty bearers to demand accountability. And this process is not a one-off event.
Right.
It requires persistence. It requires determination. It requires dedication. And it also requires patience, because sometimes engaging with the government actors can't, excuse my language, can be frustrating sometimes.
Right.
But then know what you need, and also know that you are not the only community on the priority list of the government. It means that you have to exercise that level of patience and also exercise that level of persistence and dedication to ensure that by continuously knocking on the doors of those who must listen, and one day they will definitely listen, and all your years of cries will be over.
We hope they certainly do. Widad Saibu is the director of School for Life. Kudos on an amazing job done so far. Thank you for your time. You're still watching The Pulse. We return from the break with more. Don't go anywhere.
This house was once somebody's dream. A 3-bedroom home filled with family, laughter, kids playing around. But today, it's akin to an eco park. Weeds, plants, snakes. It's all falling apart. Join me on a journey to put this house in good shape. We need to bring this house back to life. Yes, we will. Let's do this.
PM Express, power is confronted, claims are tested, and accountability is not optional.
The first 2 months in office between January, February, and March, we had already brought down this rate, and then we have sustained it since.
Politics, business, the economy, social justice. If it affects your life, it will be examined. If it shapes your future, it will be interrogated.
You ever sitting there today and you see me sweating, I'm answering your question, you in the comfort of your chair putting all these questions to me. That is why you would not have the responsibility of bringing about this document.
No safe spaces for evasion, no comfort in half-truths, just facts, pressure, and the courage to stay with the question until the answer comes.
Your word says,
my words were,
those
listen,
on Compact Plus, you pay $570 and you get more channels.
Evans,
that moves you.
This is the speech.
To
the speech I read yesterday is what I'm holding here. You didn't read the speech. You didn't write it. I wrote it and I read it.
Because democracy demands scrutiny and the public deserves clarity. When the day's noise fades and the nation needs understanding, there is PM Express on Joy News. Independent, fearless, credible.
Every morning before the rush, before the arguments, before the headlines begin to chase us,
there's a moment to pause, to listen, to understand what truly matters. This is where the day begins.
Mr. Ken Oforiatta, a man who has run away from his own people he once served. We believe in the spirit of accountability. It is important for him to come and answer charges preferred against him by the state.
On the AM show, the news is not just read, it is examined. The stories shaping your life, explained with clarity, handled with care. We ask the questions without fear.
If your constituency cannot grow enough tomato for Ghanaians, then there's something wrong with your constituency.
My name is Emefa Akufo-Addo.
And I am Samuel Kojo Brace.
2 voices, 1 purpose, holding the powerful to account, putting your interests first in every conversation.
No noise, no spin, just facts, context, and the courage to ask the right questions.
Start your day informed, start your day empowered. The AM show on Joy News is definitely worth waking up for.
Joy News, independent,
fearless, credible.
Hello again. Childhood cancer cases are rising sharply in Ghana, where specialists are warning the true burden of a disease far exceeds recorded figures due to underdiagnosis and financial barriers. At the Pediatric Oncology Unit of the Akufo-Addo Teaching Hospital, new cases jammed from the annual range of between 100 to 130 to 160 last year, with 65 cases already recorded in the first quarter of this year. Leukemia has emerged as the leading childhood cancer in the country, followed by brain tumors, while other types such as lymphomas appear to be declining. Specialist pediatrician Akufo-Addo has been speaking to my colleague Clinton Yeboah.
Pediatric Oncology Unit. I think I had some statistics from Kolebu. That was at 2020, it was 230. It should be going up. But currently here in Kath, we used to record with between 100 to 130 new cases each year. Last year, we recorded 160 new cases. This first quarter, we have seen a jump. If it's still going to continue in that trend, the first quarter, we recorded 65 new cases. Yes, and like I said in the presentation, currently leukemias are the leading cancers in the country. And with even the leukemias, we are seeing the lymphoblastic leukemias and the AMLs. The AMLs are also quite a high number, estimating between 60% for ALL, 40% AML. Yes, which is quite disturbing because with AML, we can't treat, we just do more palliative because we have to do bone marrow transplants for a lot of them. And the lymphomas that we used to know, the Burkitt and everything, is dropping. In our center, one of our colleagues did research. We saw that the brain tumors were number 2, just like the statistics in the world. And this year, the soft tissue sarcomas, like the rhabdos, have overtaken the lymphoma. So there are a lot of dynamics in the childhood cancer scene, with which attention has to be drawn. Okay, and I think we actually should be seeing more, looking at the estimates from the WHO. For our population, we should be seeing between 1,000 to 1,400 new cases every year. So that means that there are quite a number that are being lost to follow-up. Of course, how they present with abdominal swellings, people will go to herbalists and everything. Some think it's a curse and everything. And there's a lot of financial constraints in the system, so a lot of people do not even come.
Still on health, the Ministry of Health is urging Ghanaians not to self-diagnose when they feel unwell, as Ebola cases continue to rise in some African countries. Speaking on the AM show this morning, the Sector Minister, Akufo-Addo, encouraged the public to seek prompt medical attention and undergo regular health checkups rather than relying on self-diagnosis.
What I want the country to understand is that if anybody is experiencing any of the symptoms of Ebola, first and foremost, let us report to the nearest hospital. What are the symptoms? Muscle pains, vomiting, unexplained bleeding, headaches. So don't sit home and say that, oh, I'm having body pains or muscle pains, and therefore you conclude that it is malaria. It can only be concluded that it is malaria when a test confirms so. Malaria. So if you are going through any Ebola, so your best bet is to go to the nearest health facility.
Minister Minta Kando also called for a return to the strict hand hygiene practices observed during the COVID-19 pandemic, especially at public gatherings.
Mortality rate stands around 30 to 50%. So it's high. And the reality at the moment is that we don't have medications or cure for it or vaccine for it for now. Here, a lot of studies is going on to find the vaccines and all that. But for now, we don't have it. So I do not want us to sit aloof and not to create the necessary awareness so that when we detect cases, we are found wanting. So we all have to be aware of what is going on. We want all of us to go back to hand hygiene. So every public gathering must make provision for hand washing station. And we must go back to use our hand sanitizers. Every public gathering. We are not saying that there shouldn't be public gathering. That's not what I've said. But I'm saying that if you go to church, you must make sure that we've provided hand washing stations or we've provided places for hand sanitizers. Let us not think that it is far from us, because no disease requires a visa or a passport. Diseases know no border.
10 communities in the Achumampunia district of the Ashanti region remain skeptical about imminent electricity access following reports that the contractor in charge of the rural electrification project has walked off the job again. This follows Joy News' story titled A Dark Village, which revealed that Bedabwo, Mansaso and 8 other communities in the district are becoming ghost towns. Hundreds of residents, especially the youth, have already fled homes they once inhabited after decades without electricity. Emmanuel Bright-Kweku visited the community a month after the April deadline and filed this report.
The electrification project was contracted to Possible Power Limited in 2015 to facilitate the extension of electricity access to these communities, but the project has yet to materialize. Following the broadcast of the story on Joy News, the Achumampunia District Chief Executive Ibrahim Ishaq said the contractor had resumed work after a decade-long absence and promised the project will be completed by the end of April 2026.
He didn't abandon the project. Unfortunately, the government who took over from His Excellency John Dramani Mahama abandoned the project and never allowed the contractor to go to the site to complete the project. So once we have given the president of the energy ministry have given the contractor the right to move to the site, by all means, payment will be done and they will ensure he finished the project in Tamata State by the end of next month.
Okay, so you are sharing these 10 communities in Achumampunia that by end of April they would be connected to electricity.
That's right, madam.
However, a follow-up visit to the communities on May 30, 2026, a month after deadline, found that the contractor had pulled out again before the Easter holidays, with works left unfinished. The excitement that greeted the communities after seeing the contractor back on site in March 2026 is now shadowed with skepticism. Bedabwo Chief Nana Akwesi-Yeboah acknowledged the current government efforts to extend the grid, but expressed deep frustration over the delays.
We were glad when they returned to site, but during the Easter festivity, they left. We desperately need lights.
The prolonged darkness is taking a toll on the people. For as long as the over 500 residents of Bedabwo could remember, they and their neighbors have lived in darkness.
The wires are just useless here. I always have to buy ice cubes from Impasetia. We don't have fridges.
The story is no different at Mansaso, which is a few kilometers away from Bedabwo. The news team scoured the community and found out part of the installation continued to fall apart, with some of the wires dangling loosely.
All the youth have left here to other towns because there is no light.
Possible Power Limited, on their return to the site, began work on a high-tension post that lined up the skyline of the 10 communities. But after weeks of work, they left the site. Kweku Dua is the Chief Executive Officer for Possible Power Limited.
The materials for the projects just arrived at the ministry. We are waiting to take delivery.
The thousands of residents in these 10 communities are demanding swift action to provide them with what is a basic necessity. For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright-Kweku.
We stay a while in the Ashanti region because the Regional Directorate of the National Health Insurance Authority has registered and renewed the membership of over 1.4 million people from May 2026 under its King's Month initiative introduced in honor of Otumfuo Osei Tutu II. Addressing the media, the Ashanti Regional Director of the NHIA, Munuru Muntaka Muhammad, revealed that over 50,000 new subscribers were registered, while more than 1.4 million members renewed their subscriptions.
The Ashanti Regional Director of NHIS described the achievement as a major success in the scheme's efforts to expand health insurance coverage in the region.
The National Health Insurance Authority, Ashanti Region, in appreciation and recognition of the outstanding leadership qualities of our great king, initiated the King's Month. In effect, the month of May that ended yesterday was declared a month-long registration to register 1 million residents of Ashanti region.
As an annual program and will be observed every May. The NHIS believes the annual observance will help sustain.
It is worthy of note that the support of Menchia Palace and Nananum across the region was unprecedented. Finally, the King's Month initiative has come to stay, which means that every year, NHIA Ashanti region shall observe the month of May as the King's Month.
The NHIS believes the annual observance will help sustain public awareness and encourage more residents to enroll and renew their membership, thereby improving access.
The Allied Health Professions Council has closed 6 laboratories in the Tamale metropolis for failing to follow required procedures. The monitoring team also arrested Abdul Rahim Fusaini of the New Life Medical Center for operating without licenses. The team is in the northern region as part of a nationwide exercise to inspect laboratories and ensure compliance with regulations.
The monitoring team visited Standard Medical Laboratories, Cairo Medical Service, K4 Medical Consult, among others. The team is in the northern region for a 2-day working visit and is expected to inspect some laboratories in the area. Speaking to the media, Registrar of the Allied Health Professions Council, Dr. Isahaku Shira, said most of the laboratories inspected lack qualified staff and the technical expertise required to operate.
We've seen that almost all of them are not doing what we all agree to be the norm. We've closed down about 6 so far, and we believe that those people must need to answer questions. One, they are not using the most qualified people. They have assistants being used as the scientists themselves. They do not have the requisite knowledge and technical know-how to run those big labs here. Secondly, they don't work with any standard protocols. They don't have SOPs. Not a single one to have evidence or well-established SOPs that they run with. So eventually they are doing things from their head, and we think that that is wrong. These are not just meant for fun, they are meant for very serious business.
He said this definitely has implications on diagnosis and treatment.
The main focus is the patients and the general public. It means that there's a possibility, high possibility, that they are not getting the requisite diagnostic things done on them. So the effect is not something that we can gloss over. It's a very serious issue. You go to hospital or you go to some diagnostic procedure because you want to be diagnosed of your condition. If you come in and then they use a very substantial way of doing things, and unfortunately they give wrong diagnosis, you go a long way to affect the treatment, and you come every day, you know your problem is not being solved, and that is not accepted.
Dr. Shiraz said the council is working to sanitize the space.
In the past, this were not done. Because of that, they have taken advantage of the situation. But things have changed. The current management, together with the board, have put in structures to ensure that this is done. So far, we've visited about 8 different areas within the country, across the country. We've been to Kumasi, we've been to Accra, we've been to Sunyani, all the satellite areas within Kumasi, Accra, Sunyani, and we are now in Tamale. And we are going to continue this until December. In fact, the board itself is very serious about it. You can clearly see that a board member is part of this team, the board of allied professionals, the member is part of this team, and we are monitoring. We're in Kumasi, the board chairman himself joined the monitoring team, and we are going to ensure that this will do across the country, and what happened in the past will not repeat itself moving forward.
Interior Minister Mahama and Bagbin has expressed concern about the increasing use of drugs, including cannabis, among the youth across the country. He indicated that this development threatens the peace and safe future of the country and its image in the international community, given the rate at which the youth engage in and abuse drugs. During a two-day official visit to the Volta region, Bagbin entreated stakeholders to form a synergy towards curbing the menace.
Officials of the Ministry of the Interior and the Volta Regional Coordinating Council met with the Volta Regional Security Council, clergy, Muslim leaders and traditional authorities to discuss pertinent issues relating to security and peace in the region. The Minister of the Interior, Mahama and Bagbin, fears the increasing usage of drugs may jeopardize the future of the country and affect its image in the international community.
The level of drug usage by our youth is getting to an alarming proportion. In fact, Nigeria and other countries are beginning to complain because in Nigeria, they have a brand they call Living Ghana. Because when they pass with Ghana's flag. And unfortunately, and sorry to say, many of them are coming from this region. And they say that has a premium in Nigeria. And now the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime are getting concerned and thinking that as a government, we are not fighting it enough. So please bear with us.
He also cautioned Ghanaians against assisting foreign nationals to acquire identification documents, including national identification cards, passports, and national insurance cards.
Sometimes, yes, we all welcome visitors, we all welcome strangers, but in our zeal to help them, we don't know what is in their mind, what is behind what they do, and what actions they intend to take. You and I sit here, we all know there are a lot of foreigners who come here, and then before we assist them to go onto our national system. Oh, I guarantee for him, because all of you are speaking Hausa. But you don't know the intention with which is coming. With the kind of West Africa where we find ourselves, all of us needs to be alert. And
the Volta Regional Minister, James Gunu, called for renewed commitment towards the war on drug cultivation and usage.
So it's not a fight that the regional minister alone or the Honorable Interior Minister. So we want all of us to collaborate in fighting this menace so that we can be free, because it's a danger to society if people are living on drugs, you know.
Traditional authorities, the clergy, Muslim communities, and other relevant stakeholders are short of playing their respective roles in purging the country of illicit drugs and helping to identify illegal immigrants. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News. Who?
Sector is set for transformation as government pushes infrastructure upgrades, improved safety, and expanded services. At the Ministry of Transport's 2026 Strategic Review Retreat in Ho, the Sector Minister Joseph Nikpe called for stronger public-private partnerships to unlock opportunities in the sector.
The retreat brought together heads of agencies and directors from the road transport services, aviation, maritime and inland waterways, and railway subsectors alongside Minister and his deputy. The gathering offers stakeholders the opportunity to review achievements chalked over the past 1.5 years, assess challenges facing the sector, and develop strategies for future growth and development. Speaking to the media after the retreat, the Minister, Joseph Nikpe, underscored the importance of public support and private sector participation in transforming the transport industry.
We not want to say much. We will ask of their patience, we will ask of their support, and we will ask
of their interest in the transport sector. The transport sector is a sector that encourages or involves the private sector. We are inviting the private sector, those who can also support in investing in our transport sector, they should do so, because we have positioned it in a way that it is going to start bringing out the results and good results of that, for that matter. Where we have gotten to, there will be good returns on any investment in the transport sector.
Touching on the recurring accident on the Volta Lake, Mr. Nipe revealed that President John Dramani Mahama has directed the ministry to strengthen safety enforcement on the inland waterways.
I have been tasked by His Excellency the President to inaugurate what we called safety guards next month. The safety guards, we are going to use them to embark on education. They are under training. They will be passed out next month, and we will deploy them to all our crossing points, and they will be able to educate, they will be able to enforce that if you have a boat that do not have life jackets in it, you will not be allowed to use it at that crossing point. So those who are along the lakes, they should be prepared. Very soon, the safety guards will be deployed along the lake, and when you are caught, we will now prosecute you, because we have gone from education now to enforcement.
Meanwhile, the managing director of Ghana Airports Company Limited, Yvonne Parry, expressed satisfaction with progress made on redevelopment of Terminal 2 at the Accra International Airport.
I'm happy to say that the two projects that we spoke about was Terminal 2, the repurposing of Terminal 2 from just a domestic terminal to both international and domestic. And I am happy to say that now, as we speak, we are 73% into the project's completion, 73% complete. By December of this year, God willing, we will be 100% complete in that project.
The managing director of Metro Mass Transit Limited, Caesar Kale, also outlined plans to significantly expand public transportation services across the country.
Today, Metro Mass has gradually bounced back, in full strength. So we have a very huge ambition. Our ambition is to ensure that by the close of 2026, the company will have been at least issued with no less than 1,000 mixed fleets. Traditionally, we are supposed to operate 385 routes. So we only the buses on 80 routes. Now, with a strategic, procurement of these new buses, we believe that when we are fully capitalized, all the 850 routes will be operational.
Ivy Satoji, True News, Home.
Businessman and investor Abdul Rahim Haruna, who has been accused of masterminding the eviction and demolition of shops at Ashaiman, has denied any involvement in the exercise. Although he has undertaken development projects in the area, he insists he had no role in the demolition carried out by the Ashaiman Municipal Assembly on behalf of the GPRTU. He is now calling on government to compensate all affected occupants and has proposed a roadmap to resolve the long-running land dispute between the GPRTU and the traders. Kwame Yanka has more.
Tensions have remained high in Ashaiman in recent weeks following the demolition of shops and structures at the Ashaiman traffic light enclave. The disputed parcel of land has become the center of a protracted ownership battle between the Ghana Private Road Transport Union (GPRTU) and traders operating under the name Peaceful Settlers, who have accused investor Alhaji Abdul Rahim Haruna of seeking to take over and redevelop the area. But speaking to Joy News, Alhaji Rahim rejected the allegations, distancing himself from the demolition and urging government to compensate those affected by the exercise.
Now, the approach to how they demolished the place is very wrong. I am for development, but the approach was wrong. And so I'm saying that the government should step in, compensate the people who are on the land here, because they've been there since 1975. Both Peaceful Settlers and that of GPRTU, they came quite recently. I've been with TDC and I know how TDC does their work. TDC will not allocate a land to anybody when there are people settling on the land. The land has to be a bare land before they allocate it to anybody, because they have enough court cases already pending. So government should step in, one, compensate the people on the land, two, create shops for peaceful settlers to go in and pay, and then three, create a car park for GPRTU to do their Ashama Lebanon, Ashama Lebanon. I think that's the best solution to this problem.
Alhaji Rahim says he remains willing to participate in any future redevelopment of the area if invited. The dispute has drawn the attention of the chief of Ashaiman, Ni Anan Ajo Amui III, who maintains the matter was settled years ago and that the GPRTU possesses the necessary document supporting its claim to the land and its planned transport terminal project.
That's why the mistake is. The same property that the GPRTU owned in 1984, the same property, peaceful settlers also own the same property 2009. So one way or the other, TDC have done double allocation. 2.24 acre, GPRTU own 1 acre out of it. Meanwhile, the 2.24 acre, there's two land that TDC says the land is a true land. We are not part of peaceful settlers allocation. We don't know anything about it. So that place in question, they don't have land there. Go with there's two, we don't know them. The cost of demolition is due because that enclave is earmarked as a commercial area. And Ashama would need such development where we can change the face of Ashaman.
Meanwhile, Ni Anan Ajo Amui III further revealed that another investor, T. Tepo, had previously secured approval to develop the site into a modern commercial complex with office space, banking facilities, and secure parking. But the project stalled due to persistent disputes and resistance.
T. Tepo was allocated by the Tama Traditional Council with TDC. He has all the documents from TDC. He has permits from Asham Municipal Assembly. But the same people were creating problem for the man to start the development. He has 5-story building to do with a basement that have bank facility and other commercial facility that you can park your car safely and do your business and come back for it. So T-Tepo is there. Before the GPRTU has also come out with ultramodern design.
Ni Anan Ajo Amui III believes Ashaiman cannot afford further delays to critical development projects, arguing that the municipality is long overdue for modern infrastructure capable of transforming its commercial landscape. Kwame Yankes reports for Joy News.
Ghana is ramping up efforts to build a climate-smart food system as the country spends hundreds of millions of US dollars on food imports while climate change continues to threaten local agriculture. The initiative aims to boost food security, support farmers, and improve public health. The following report has more.
Climate change is placing increasing pressure on Ghana's agricultural sector, threatening food production, livelihoods, and food security for millions of people. Minister of State for Climate Change and Sustainability, Isifu Seidu, says Ghana spends more than $400 million annually on poultry imports, describing it as a major drain on the economy and a challenge for local producers.
The backbone of our economy, contributing approximately 19% of Ghana's GDP and providing livelihood for 1 in every 3 Ghanaians. Yet today, the sector stands at a critical crossroads, simultaneously bearing the impacts of climate change while contributing significantly to greenhouse gas emissions. The evidence confronting us is both compelling and urgent. First, there is the economic challenge. Ghana spends more than $400 million annually on poultry imports alone. Every ton of food imported is not only a missed opportunity for local production and employment, but also a transfer of wealth away from our rural economies. This dependence weakens our food sovereignty, places pressure on foreign exchange reserves, and undermines the resilience of our agricultural sector.
Public health expert at the Ministry of Health, Kojo Etuahene, says non-communicable diseases now affect between 34 and 36% of Ghanaians, underscoring the need for healthier and more sustainable food systems.
What I would say from the perspective of non-communicable disease is the trend in increase of non-communicable diseases, because now we have about between 34 to 36% of Ghanaians being affected by non-communicable disease. That's the hypertension, the diabetes, the cancers, and the cardiovascular diseases. And we've realized that more young people are getting affected by these non-communicable diseases. And even quite also more disturbing is that women tend to be at the receiving end. If you have a percentage of deaths from cardiovascular disease being, let's say, 14.4% among males, you have the same 24.7% among females, which is between a 10 and 11 percentage point jump, which is quite disturbing. And one of the key determinants of our health is the food that we eat, is what we eat. And we have a diet transition where we've now shifted from our traditional local diets, which were largely plant-based. They were non-processed, they were non-refined. They didn't have a lot of these additives and things. And now a lot of people are now opting for the noodles, the packaged fast foods, and then the sweetened beverage, and these are having negative effects on our health.
Recommendations from the workshop are expected to shape Ghana's climate prosperity plan and inform long-term policies on sustainable food production and public health. For Dre News, Martha Sewa Boache's report, read to you.
The Central Regional Minister, Akufo-Addo, has cautioned business owners and politicians against mixing business with politics, warning that blurred interests often hinder economic growth and sustainable development. Speaking at the Cape Coast Business Summit, the minister urged entrepreneurs and political actors to remain focused on their respective roles to foster a conducive environment for investment, job creation, and long-term economic progress.
The Cape Coast Business Summit brought together business leaders, government officials, and investors to discuss strategies for promoting entrepreneurship, attracting investment, and accelerating economic growth in Cape Coast. Addressing participants, the Mayor of Cape Coast, George Justice Arthur, urged entrepreneurs to properly register their businesses and embrace collaboration to enhance growth and competitiveness.
My charge to you, entrepreneurs, register your business with Ghana Revenue Authority and Registrar General's Department. It's your key to loans, contracts, and government programs. The Ghana Enterprise Agency is here to help you for free today. Your business money is not chalk money. Open a business account. Collaborate. Don't compete alone. 5 bakers can buy flour together and get wholesale price. 10 bread makers can export together. The Ghana Chamber of Commerce is your strength.
The Central Regional Minister, Akufo-Addo, advised business owners to clearly separate business interests from politics, stressing that such a distinction is crucial for sustainable enterprise development.
Let's leave the politics to the politicians and business for the businessmen. Let's have that clear line. Indeed, politics are fueled by the businessmen, but they have their role. We give them the enabling environment for them to try to do their businesses, and where we need resources to support us and ideas to move on, they support us. But to combine the two, we get confused. And so many businesses start very well in this country, but they get nowhere.
Keep what you have, the little you have, diligently, until you need the one who multiply it for you.
Delivering the keynote address, Sahara Group co-founder Tonya Patrick Cole called on citizens, local government leaders, and other stakeholders to take an active role in attracting investment and driving the economic transformation of Cape Coast.
Every investment destination requires ambassadors. The assembly, you sir, you must be an ambassador. The traditional leaders, you sirs and mine, you must be ambassadors. The business leaders, the SMEs, you must be ambassadors. The academia, those of you here, I think a lot of you sat on that side, if I remember right, this side of the table. So the academia, you must be ambassadors. The future of Cape Coast is not something that we have to wait for. We don't have to wait for it. It's here. It's here. It's something that we all must build together.
From Cape Coast, Abigail Lisol-Nkrumah reports for Joy News.
And that's it for the Pulse this evening. My name is Kenneth Gyasi, but I leave you with this story because a 32-year-old man we are calling Kofi never imagined he would one day question the paternity of his son. But after his fiancée denied taking money that had gone missing from his room, mistrust began to set in. The incident led Kofi to secretly take his 4-month-old baby for a DNA test, hoping his worst fear would not come true. Here are excerpts of Mavis Kabuko's feature, Who is My Father? Have a good evening.
Initially, I didn't have that thought at all, because I didn't suspect anything negative. I didn't suspect that maybe she's doing something outside, or I didn't have that thought at all initially. But during the pregnancy, something happened.
For 8 days, Kofi waited for the DNA results. The uncertainty weighed on him. It was a test he never imagined he would one day have to take.
You reached this to 5. You've killed him now. Congratulations. So move.
Just months earlier, life looked very different. Kofi had fallen in love. Then came news that changed everything. He was going to be a father.
I was the one that she called that she's having certain symptoms. It happened that when we checked, it shows that she's pregnant. Yeah. And I decided not to tamper with it. Even though I'm not married to her, so I decided not to tamper with it. So I gave her the assurance that whatever thing I have to do, whatever responsibility that I have to take, or whatever formal thing I have to do, I'm ready to do it. But I was happy that at the end of the day, the baby is finally here, after the trauma and all of that.
A healthy baby boy. For many fathers, that would have been enough. But for Kofi, questions remained. Months before the child was born, money went missing from his room. What followed left him struggling to trust the woman he loved.
I had something in my room that got stolen. Yes, so, and she was the only one who had access to my room. So, because for a lady to be able to see a lot of lies like this, what if? So for us to be sure, when the baby comes successfully, we have to try and check if it is ours.
The issue dragged on for weeks. Eventually, she admitted taking the money, but the damage had already been done.
From further confrontations, that's when she admitted that. Because if you are the one who did it and you say it once and for all, I think it will not prolong the issue like that. So it made me lose trust in she was not truthful. And she said a lot of lies, and she made up a lot of stories just to cover her, just to cover what she did and all of that. So that is what triggered the DNA, because we felt that if she can say all these things, what if maybe when you were with her, she had another boy somewhere or another guy somewhere.
Kofi is not alone. Across Ghana, More men are turning to DNA tests for one reason: to know for certain whether a child is theirs.
The 2025 DNA Insight report, over 87% of people or fathers who tested with us or who did a test with us had it been for personal confirmation. They just wanted to clear their doubts. So largely, most of them is to clear their personal doubts, wants to be sure if this child is for me. And that one is based on various reasons. Some the phenotype, as in the physical appearance of the child, some the lifestyle of the mother, some the family, and all those. So they all fall under the personal reasons, like he wants to confirm. Just feel that is court case to settle a court issue, immigration purposes, or family issues. Most of them, it was true. They want to clear their personal doubt.
The findings are striking. Blueprint DNA analyzed nearly 500 paternity cases in 2025.
And out of these cases, of the 42% of the paternity tests conducted came out as paternity exclusion. What I mean is that the tested fathers, or the fathers who were tested, came out as not being the biological father. If I'm breaking it down, it means 4 out of 10. Out of the 10 cases done, 4 of them came out negative, meaning paternity excluded. Yeah, the father isn't the biological father.
When Kofi finally decided to test, he kept it to himself. His partner did not know, neither did his family.
I just told them I'm taking the boy to somewhere because we were planning for our naming ceremony. I'm taking her to a friend who is a tailor and taking measurements and all of that. So I went for the baby, ordered my ride, and then we went to Blueprint, their Sumana branch. So they took the baby sample and they took my sample as well.
The child was almost 4 months old when Kofi decided to go ahead with the test. Then came the wait.
Anytime I'm in the office, I'll be counting the days. Today is the 3rd day. When I come to the next day, today is the 4th day, like that. So I got a mail when I was in the office. Yes, but I couldn't check in the office because they gave me a card which has a serial number which I left at home. So I had to close, get back to home. So I go home around 7. The first thing I did was to look for the card. And then I entered the serial number and then the mail opened. The results was actually what I was expecting because it would have been a disaster if it went the other way. The results showed that I was the father of the child.
The doubts were gone. The son he had loved from birth was indeed his. For Kofi, the test brought relief. For others, the search for answers continues. As DNA testing becomes more common, questions once settled by trust alone are increasingly being taken to the laboratory.
We've heard news, the child is even 8 years, 9 years. You go and check, the child is not your son or your daughter. So if you don't have doubt, if you're okay, fine. Yes, but the moment you begin to have doubts, it is better you go and check.
Whether the result brings reassurance or heartbreak, more men are choosing certainty. And for them, the answer may be only a DNA test away. Mavis Kabuko's report read to you.
It's another wonderful, beautiful day. This is Let's Talk Showbiz. My name is Ike, and then I can tell you for a fact. I mean, you already know my element of surprise, but I'm not doing it in the studio. I'm actually doing it in a music studio, not just any other studio, a music studio actually. So he's a creative. But I have one beautiful question I was going to ask him. I don't want to introduce him. You already know him. He's called Episode. Now he has a new name called Julie. Yeah, from Atian to Julie. Now if he's working in town, they call him Julie. Yeah. But I want to ask you this question, bro. No, listen. If somebody doesn't know you, right? Somebody doesn't know you, the person meets you for the first time. How would you describe yourself to the person?
That short boy.
That short boy.
Yeah.
My name is Episode. That short boy.
Well, yes, Episode, musician, painter, storyteller, socialist, wow, rebel-minded, cool, collected guy, very good bad boy. Daniel Ebile. I mean everything.
You know, the reason I'm asking you this question is because, you see, we all find ourselves in the creative space one way or the other, whatever that we do, we represent something. But you seem to represent everything so far as creativity is concerned.
Yeah.
So sometimes I try to go into your mental life. How are you able to put all of these things together? Do you have a balanced life?
I'm just a lonely boy. That's the thing.
Yeah.
My life is very boring.
Exactly, because
very lonely.
You sometimes have to paint.
Yeah.
This guy edits. I mean, it's not news out there that he does a lot of paintings. He does a lot of murals. He's doing music videos. He's shooting, holding camera. Now he has a new hobby. Every Sunday he go to Accra to take pictures. What sort of human being are you?
That's what I'm saying. I have a lonely life, a very boring one, and I think that the things that make me happy are the things you mentioned. It wasn't like that. You know, I had to learn to stay by myself and learn to not entertain too many people, because I move on energies.
Wow.
So when you see me in that space where there are people around, like anybody around me is family, you know, and I try to cut so many people off the space, because just like I said, I thrive on energies, and if the energy is not right, it doesn't make me have a positive vibe. So I try to, and these things make me happy, like buying of gadgets, just collecting stuff.
And then your new way of collecting things too. This guy has started collecting vinyls. I don't see. So one person, you're thinking about making the next